Hi, my name is Clarence, and this is the Road to the Great Canadian Open. So, tickets are officially available to the Great Canadian Open Winter 2026, hosted by TGX at the Small Arms Inspection Building in Mississauga. The link for tickets will be below, and I thought I'd make a little video to just kind of inspire people to start painting. So I'm a bit of an old school player, and when I used to go to tournaments, you had to bring painted armies. And I love painting armies, and I love bringing my stuff fully painted and having it look cool. And I wanted just to inspire some players who are interested in painting up their song minis or thinking of coming to the event to get their armies painted and just show them how a little bit of work every day with a method that is efficient can produce some pretty great results in pretty quick time. For A Song, Voice, and Fire, the community is generally just so small that I hate to put in painting restrictions. But again, it would be really great if people could bring painted armies, and here's my attempt to inspire people to get that done. So, what army will I be painting for the Road to the Great Canadian Open? The thinking I had was, if I was to play, and as the tournament organizer, I don't want to ever be in a position where I can have a good chance of winning the event. I feel like if I'm going to play, I'm going to play my best, but I don't want to win because I think it's kind of sus when the TO wins their own event. So traditionally in the past, I've always brought the lowest ranking faction. The last event, I brought Boltons. The year prior to that, I had neutrals. I was thinking of doing something similar, except I wanted to paint something new, and I already have a fully painted Bolton army from last event, and I've got a lot of neutrals painted as well. So I thought I'd paint something brand new, and for me, because I've collected so much, the choices were really either Greyjoys, Martells, or Brotherhood Without Banners. I think I literally have a painted faction for every other faction in the game, which is kind of insane now that I think about it. It was a bit of a tough choice because I don't want to bring an army that's overpowered. I also don't want to bring an army because I'm going to be playing with it at the local shop and getting reps in and practicing that everyone else kind of plays. And unfortunately, all three factions are kind of well represented at my local shop, X Planet Games in Mississauga. So I decided maybe I'll just go with what I think looks the coolest. So I'm going to end up painting up my Brotherhood Without Banners. So follow me along with this journey, and we'll go over what I'm painting, how I'm going to paint it, etc. So this will be a short video series. That is, each video will be short, but I'm going to try and post content as often as I can. Unfortunately, I will be going on vacation relatively soon, so after this video, you may not get much for a good week's time. But I will update the social media platforms when new videos do go up. So let's take a look at what I'll be starting off with. Alrighty, so here is the Brotherhood Without Banners starter set. And I've also added in Heroes Box 1 and the Knights. What are they called, these guys? These are called the Sorn Knights. So I've made two lists that I want to try out. And the two lists actually use some neutral units, but I think just for painting, I'm going to get started with the base starter set. I don't think I'm actually going to be using necessarily all these units. Actually, the only unit I'm not using probably is going to be the Men-at-Arms here. But I do want to paint everything just because I like to have a complete set, and just in case I'm going to go back and, try it out, I want to have them ready to go. So this will be my starting point. I think I'm going to add in a unit of Kingsmen and a unit of Baratheon Halberdiers, and I will also probably add in a unit of Golden Company Swordsmen. And I'm pretty OCD about this kind of stuff, so I do have a unit painted already, but they're based in my winter basing to match my Starks, and I'm going to probably base these guys in my summer basing, so I'll have to buy another unit of Golden Company Swordsmen to have those guys match, but that's how I am, that's how it's going to be. Plus, if I'm going to paint this army a certain way, aka I'm going to be using Slapchop, just for those who haven't heard of that before. I want to paint up my swordsmen in the same manner so that they match as well. So what exactly am I painting is, as I mentioned, Men-at-Arms over here. I got two units of peasants, I've got the archers, I can't remember their name actually, and I got these Sorn Knights here who are just amazing sculpts. Can't wait to get to those guys. And then when it comes to heroes, NCUs, and attachments, I'm painting up the 3 commanders, so Barrack, Thoros, and Lady Caitlin, just so that I can choose between games as I practice who I want to use. My current list uses Caitlin and Barrack, but I've tried Thoros before, and he's not too bad, so I do want to paint him up. It's only 1 model, so not a big deal to add that in. NCUs, I do like both, the Ghost of Highheart and Lady Ravella, I think her name is. And attachments, these are the ones that I have in my list. So Edric Dane, Hot Pie. Hot Pie I feel like is kind of a must in the archers because he removes a condition token. Gendry just adds tankiness. And we've got Tom 7 Strings because in my cat list, I currently have 5 combat bricks and I just, have the attachment points to spend. So I thought I'd throw him in there for some taunt as well. So this is what I'm painting up. I think today I'm going to get started with some priming and then I'll discuss how I'm going to paint them. So be right back with some priming. Alrighty, so I've got my first unit of peasants ready to prime. So I chose the peasants because I've got 2 units of them, and I don't like painting the same kind of figures back to back to back too often. So I'm going to paint like a unit of peasants, then I'll paint something different, like maybe the archers, then I'll paint the man-at-arms, then maybe I'll paint the knights, then I'll come back to the peasants at the end. So yeah, because it's my own duplicate unit, I thought I'd start with the peasants first. And what I'm using to prime these guys is the GW Prime stick thingamajiggy. So I bought this a long time ago. I wonder if they still have it on sale on their website, but it's actually my favorite tool to prime with. So it's got these elastic bands used to hold your guys down, and you can kind of see that they've become quite thick over time. I've had to replace a couple, so some are really, really thin. They do give you extras, and it's just a really cool tool because it also rotates. So I can spin this thing around. How am I going to show this? Well, I can also just spin my hand, obviously, right? But this piece here, actually rotates, so it makes it quite easy to prime. So it's easy to get all angles. Plus, when I'm done, I like to turn it upside down and then give them a spray from this angle too, so it helps cover the areas that you don't get from the other angle. Like this way, I can get more of the underside primed up. Now, I do go back and I touch up anything that got missed with black paint anyway, and to act as more of a consistent base. But it's still a pretty darn good tool. Now, it only fits 10 guys, because most squads and GW games have 10 dudes in them. So I used a little bit of white tack to stick on the extra 2 models, and I also stuck on an attachment, Tom 7 Strings. The way I paint song models, and the way I paint in general, is I don't like to slog through all the basic guys and then paint the characters at the end. I like to reward myself after painting a unit by painting a character. So I'm going to paint these 12 dudes with Slapchop, and then I'm going to come back and lovingly paint him, probably with Slapchop still, mind you, but it'll be a nice little break from painting 12 peasants. All right, going to get priming, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so I just finished priming up my guys, and again, I primed from all sides by spinning this tool around. Then I can spray from this angle straight down, and then I turned it upside down as well, so I can get from this angle too, so I can get the underneath areas. I can see that some of the areas are still a little bit brown here and there. Kind of hard to tell in the video, but if you look up close, you can see it. So I'll be touching it up with a little back paint. So that is it for the priming, and we'll see what the next step looks like. See you soon. Hey. And with that, I think we're going to more or less stop the update for today. I'm going to touch up the underneath with a bit of black. I'm going to actually cover the whole thing with a bit of watery black, Abaddon black kind of paint. I find that sometimes you have paint that sticks differently onto primer than it does onto paint itself, and I'd rather just be consistent all throughout. So if I paint the bottom black, the paint might react differently to the paint than painting onto primer sometimes, I find. The Simon Minis in particular, maybe you have to wash them first. Sometimes the paint I find dribbles off almost like an oil. So I'm going to just cover the whole thing with a little bit of black paint to help the paint stick on better, I hope. And then moving forward, I'm going to be slap chopping my Brotherhood army. Now, if you've never heard about this technique before, it's a method that uses the GW contrast paints or speed paints that other companies have as well. And I'll be going through more in detail, the steps, but in a nutshell, I wanted this video series to also be like accessible to most people. So even though I have an airbrush and I could be airbrushing on the Zenithal on one of the steps, I'll be using Wraithbone, I think it's called, as a GW primer as one of my steps. So basically for the Slapchop technique, and by the way, there's tons of videos on YouTube you can look up for this process. You start with a dark undercoat. And then with a light spray, usually a gray, I'll be using Wraithbone, which is like a more of an off-white bone kind of color. You do what's called a zenithal, which means you just kind of spray down as if light was hitting your model. So the top of the model will be hit with this light gray kind of color, but the underneath will still be mostly black, or yeah, will mostly be black and like in shadow. And then when you're done that, you take a dry brush and you lightly dry brush white all over your model so that it catches the edges and it acts like a highlight kind of color. And then you pick out your contrast paints or speed paints, and you literally do one coat over. And because you pre-shaded your model with this zenithal and the white dry brush, the contrast paints, which already will provide some contrast on their own, will pop extra hard as there'll be dark areas, which will accentuate the darkness, and then the bright white areas that will be even brighter, that is. So it's a really cool technique. I've tried it before on 2 armies, it came out pretty good. I like to put on an oil wash at the end. Oil washes sounds kind of scary because you have to use like mineral spirits and stuff, but the cost is actually pretty low. Like most art stores in the area carry oil-based paints and the correct mineral spirits to water them down. And once you practice a little bit, it's actually not that hard to do at all, and you get some really, really good results. It's a bit time laborious, I guess. So I don't love to do it everywhere, but I find that it works particularly good with contrast paint. So I think I'll be doing that on these models too. So again, we'll stop the video here. Just some inspiration and prep. Look for updates once I come back from vacation. I may do another update, within the next day or two, maybe even today, because one reason why I'm stopping here now is because I don't have the Wraithbone spray, but I wanted to get this video out early because tickets for the Great Canadian Open hosted by the TGX just went on sale about an hour, 2 hours ago, and I want people to be aware. And yeah, follow the series if you want to follow my journey as to painting a new army, and hopefully you get inspired to do the same thing. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye.